Okay. NBA All-Stars happening next month in Indianapolis. And it's coming to that time where the first couple of fan votes are coming in and stuff like that of that nature. I have a paper here of literally all the Eastern Conference All-Stars who I think are in consideration. And basically I just went through each team's record in the Eastern Conference, looked at what players they had, and said, hey, should they be NBA All-Stars? Should they be in the conversation to being NBA All-Stars? And that's basically how I went about it, and just went through the teams, looked at the best players and said, hey, they can deserve consideration, wrote them down, wrote their stats there, and decided to have locks. I did also go through this list and say, hey, these guys are locks to make the All-Star game, and who's not locks, I try to talk about and see what's going on with them and seeing if they should be added to the game in Indianapolis there. First off, let's go with Boston. Obviously, the top team in the Eastern Conference there. Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Kristaps Porzingis, and Derek White should be considered for All-Star appearances. And Jason Tatum obviously leading the charge. When I wrote these numbers, they're going to be a little bit day behind. But still, Jason Tatum, 35 games on the season, 27.4 points per game, 8.3 rebounds, and 4.4 assists. Obviously, the number one on the Boston Celtics. Leading the charge, just came out with the JT2s. Obviously, perennial All-Star, All-NBA. Obviously, the leader of the Boston Celtics has been playing well and has been hitting up big numbers. We go to Jaylen Brown, 36 games played on the season, 23.1 points per game, 5.2 rebounds, and 3.5 assists. Looking at what he has done over the course of the season, he has 9 30-point games on the season, and that's very impressive during the shot because of the shot distribution on the Celtics between Derek White, Drew Holiday, Jason Tatum, Kristaps Porzingis, all these guys with mouths to feed, and he still finds a way to be that efficient on offense and has been cooking of late and has been really leading the charge, where I think he should get more fan votes. So do yourself a favor, Boston Celtics fans, and continue to vote Jaylen Brown so it's no wishy-washy, and make sure that he gets into the All-Star game. Looking at Kristaps Porzingis, who came over in the offseason, 28 games so far in the season, 19.3 points per game, 6.8 rebounds, and 1.8 blocks. And looking at what he's been able to do in the side of the Boston Celtics offense and really open up things on that end, has been able to shoot the ball. And that's really been the big thing. I think he's just an upgrade over Horford at this point, just a more athletic version of Horford. Longer, obviously, but they do the same things kind of similar on the offensive end, but he's able to finish at the hoop. So that's another added addition to Kristaps Porzingis in the Boston Celtics offense. Moving on to Derek White, who people don't think as a clear-cut superstar in this league or a star and stuff like that. And I kind of look at him as a Draymond Green in terms of what his role is and what he does for that basketball team. 35 games on the season, 15.8 points per game, 4.0 rebounds, 5 assists a game, 1.1 steals, and 1.1 blocks. Like, this guy gets blocks and just makes, as a guard, he gets blocks and just able to make chase down blocks, get in front of guys, deny their shot. And what he's been able to do with Drew Holiday in that backcourt so far in the season has given him a little all-star buzz. Like, people are looking at him to say he should get a chance to go to Indianapolis and be an all-star. And he just does all the little things, all the intangible things that don't show up on the stat sheet and affects the stat sheet. Can't speak enough about Derek White and what he has done this season, and how he's improved in his role and has really taken the reins of that backcourt with Drew Holiday and making an impact on this Boston Celtics team. Moving on to the Bucks, Giannis Antetokounmpo and Damian Lillard. Looking at Giannis, obviously he's going to be in the All-Star game. There's no question. Barring injury, he's going to be in the All-Star game. 37 games on the season, 31.2 points per game, 11.5 rebounds, 5 assists, 1.3 steals, and 1.2 blocks. He's just a dynamo, and former champion, former MVP, former defensive player of the year. Shall I go on? He's been playing great. Looking at Damian Lillard, 35 games on the season, 25 points per game, 6.8 assists, 4.3 rebounds. And they have gotten, the Milwaukee Bucks, these two guys have gotten their offense better, right? Like, that was the main concern, especially over the last season when they couldn't make enough threes and shoot enough against the Miami Heat and be that consistent team that we've seen in the past. And Damian Lillard has come there and has fixed their offense, but their defense seems to be a little shaky. But these guys are playing well. The combination has worked. They're second in the Eastern Conference. Can't complain much there. Moving on to Philadelphia, two guys that definitely deserve all-star consideration is Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey. Joel Embiid, 27 games on the season, leading the NBA in scoring with 34.6 points per game, 11.8 rebounds a game, 6 assists. That's a bright spot in Nick Nurse's offense where he's getting more assists, getting out of those double teams and finding guys to hit open shots and getting 2 blocks a game. He is obviously a top MVP nominee heading in this season, and he has been playing well, and especially after the James Harden fiasco, the Ben Simmons fiasco. He just wants to get back to the playoffs and prove that he can win on a high level. And then his backcourt mate there, Tyrese Maxey, has been a dynamo, scoring crazy and be picking up that offense from James Harden, and what was expected that James Harden leaving, that could Tyrese Maxey fill the void there. And so far, Tyrese Maxey has been able to do that. 26.2 points per game and 6.7 assists. We didn't think he had that playmaking in this game to this degree. So for him to do that alongside Joel Embiid, and has been able to play without Joel Embiid while Joel Embiid has missed some games. And Joel Embiid, I think he can only miss 7 more games. And he might be done for all NBA consideration. That's crazy. That's the crazy thing. The 65 games cap is going to get interesting and see how they adjust with that. Moving on to Indiana, Tyrese Halliburton, 4th in the Eastern Conference there with the Pacers. 33 games. He got hurt recently, which sucked. Hopefully he's back before the All-Star game. I'm pretty sure he's going to get in. Seeing how he's the hometown kid for the Indiana Pacers, 23.6 points per game, 12.5 assists, 4.2 rebounds, and 1.1 steals. He literally, and I think people forget that Indiana was in 4th place before he went down last year. Towards the end of the season, they were the Indiana Pacers were in 4th place, and then obviously he got hurt and they fell out. He gives them life. He gives that franchise life. He gives that fan base life. A different vibe, and especially Rick Carlisle, how they're playing and just playing fast. He's moving the ball, shooting the ball. I love that he looked at Wally Szczerbiak and that during that game against the Knicks and said, "Hey, you see me now? Am I a star now?" So looking at it from that standpoint of Tyrese Halliburton and what he's doing in Indiana, kudos to him, and definitely should be in Indiana as I get to my locks in a moment. Continuing looking at the New York Knicks, 2 guys that deserve all-star consideration is Jalen Brunson and Julius Randle. Jalen Brunson has been fantastic for the New York Knicks, in a team that has needed a guard since probably the Patrick Ewing, Mark Jackson days, that they needed a point guard. Yes, they had Jason Kidd there for a little bit. They had Chauncey Billups there for a little bit. But those guys were older, on their way out. Looking at what Jalen Brunson does, the ability to get to his spots, to have consistent scoring, consistent, efficient scoring for the New York Knicks, which is not usually the case for the guards in New York Knicks history. But looking at what Jalen Brunson has been able to do, 38 games on the season, 25.8 points per game, 6.4 assists, and 1.1 steals. Just tough, rugged, running that Tibbs offense, and really getting the most out of the New York Knicks right now as they continue to try to impress and try to move up. And has Kendrick Perkins talking crazy on TV, saying they're the 2nd best Eastern Conference team. Slow down, Perk. Slow down. Milwaukee and Philly are still in front of them. But Jalen Brunson, no shade to him. He's playing fantastic for them and looking fantastic out there in the Garden. Another guy that has turned around his season, which was he was shooting tour dates, they were calling them. Julius Randle with his shooting tour dates, 4 for 12, 4 for 18, 5 for 26. Crazy numbers during the start of the season, but has turned it around so far. 38 games on the season, 24.4 points per game, 9.2 rebounds, 4.8 assists, getting back to that all-NBA level that we saw a couple years ago. They made that run in the playoffs. And has Stephen A. Smith going crazy and stuff like that. And at times still has his ISO moments where he has his blinders on and might make a bonehead play, take a couple bad hand shots. But overall, playing with Jalen Brunson, I think he trusts Jalen Brunson a little bit more than R.J. Barrett. And the Knicks have been able to play well. I believe they are 6-2 with OG Anunoby since the trade there. So some positive things, some modernization to their offense, and those two guys are definitely reaping the benefits of it heading forward. Heading to Cleveland, Donovan Mitchell is the obvious choice here. 28 games on the season, 28.8 points per game, 5.7 assists, 5.5 rebounds. Donovan Mitchell is a good player in the NBA. Should be in all-star consideration. Has been hurt a little bit this year, crazy injuries. But Cleveland has been able to stay afloat throughout the Mitchell injuries, Darius Garland injuries, Evan Mobley injuries. Jared Allen was out for a little bit. So they've been able to stay afloat. So somehow they're doing it. And Donovan Mitchell, whether he's traded at some point before the trade deadline or whatever, definitely deserves all-star consideration with his play and how he's playing. Moving on to the Miami Heat. We have Bam Adebayo and Jimmy Butler. 24 games on the season might hurt Jimmy Butler, as he's always usually kind of crossing that line there with games played when the All-Star appearances. And he shouldn't be in an All-Star game. He barely plays in the All-Star game. That's just number one, but he does deserve consideration. 24 games on the season, 21 points, 5 rebounds, 4.5 assists. Jimmy Butler's going to be Jimmy Butler. But, man, save him. Let him get rest for the playoffs. He doesn't need to go to the All-Star game. He doesn't need to go. But his counterpart, Bam Adebayo, should be in the All-Star game. 27 games on the season, 22.1 points per game, 10.4 rebounds and 4 assists, 1.1 steals and 1 block. Obviously, just being a man-child there for the Miami Heat, especially on defense. Feel like he got slided for Defensive Player of the Year a couple times. But really bringing it on offense and up in his scoring as well. Just playing tough down there for Miami. Yeah, I can't say enough about those two guys, but I'll definitely pick Bam Adebayo over Jimmy Butler if I was picking an All-Star. Moving on to the Orlando Magic, who have been a surprise this season, have stepped up. Paulo Banchero should definitely get the nod at All-Star consideration. 37 games on the season, has been consistent as hell for the Orlando Magic. Him and Franz Wagner would have been on this list, but has been injured a little bit and has been out. But to talk about Paulo, 22.9 points per game, 7.1 rebounds, 4.8 assists, and this is doing it without a point guard in Orlando, and has just been ripping on a tear and has been a man-child over the course of the season for the Orlando Magic, and should definitely get consideration for All-Star. Moving on to the Chicago Bulls, who I didn't think would get any All-Stars, but given their current situation, looking at how Kobe White has played, looking at how DeMar DeRozan has played, those are two guys that I think should get some NBA All-Star consideration. Kobe White has been crazy this season after signing that extension. I believe 3 years, $21 million extension. People were considered saying he should be traded. He's not going to fit. He's not going to work out there. But so far has been playing really well for the Chicago Bulls, especially in Zach LaVine's absence. He just recently came back. I believe they're 4-1 since Zach LaVine has came back. But 18.5 points per game, 4.9 assists, 4.5 rebounds for Kobe White. Playing really good. And the other guys, DeMar DeRozan, 37 games on the season, 22 points per game, 5.4 assists. What else is there to say? I'm not going to have any all-star guys from the Nets. Mikal Bridges would be considered, but no, I just don't think there's enough mustard there. Toronto will not be getting any all-stars. Sorry. Pascal Siakam and Scottie Barnes. Sorry. Charlotte Hornets, no. Washington Wizards, no. And the Detroit Pistons, you know the deal. But a guy that is under 500 and I think deserves a look at is Trae Young, because despite how bad and crappy the Atlanta Hawks look, he is their best player, and he is putting up some numbers, 27.8 points per game, 11 assists per game, and 1.4 steals with 34 games on the season. Love him or hate him, he definitely deserves some consideration there, down there in Atlanta. He definitely does, despite how crappy their team is. So we'll see if he makes the All-Star. But moving on to my All-Star Conference locks, Eastern Conference locks, guys that I'm picking to be locks for the Eastern Conference. There we go. Looking at the locks here for the Eastern Conference, I have Jason Tatum, of course, leading the Boston Celtics, #1 team in the Eastern Conference with Jaylen Brown. Obviously, those two guys there. Giannis and Damian Lillard from the Milwaukee Bucks. I got Embiid and Maxey from the Philadelphia 76ers. I have Halliburton, I have Brunson, and I have Adebayo. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That means there's 3 more spots left in the Eastern Conference. So looking around here, we got Porzingis, we got White, we got Paolo Banchero, we got White, DeRozan, Kobe White from the Chicago Bulls. We got Trae Young. We have Julius Randle, Donovan Mitchell, Jimmy Butler, Derek White, and Porzingis. So looking at those guys, those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 guys for 3 spots. Now, seeing how we have 1, 2, 3, 4 front court players, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 backcourt players. So we're looking to mix it up here. Guys that I think would most likely get in. Looking at what Donovan Mitchell is doing, if he plays more games and continues, I don't see him not getting in, right? Like, he's a consistent scorer for the Cavs. They really don't have anybody else that's really done by committee there. I can see him easily getting in. Julius Randle. Do the Knicks deserve 2 All-Stars? And if Julius Randle continues on this All-NBA path, I say why not? They're both playing well. They're both contributing to the New York Knicks' success. So Julius Randle will be that next guy. Looking at Jimmy Butler, I'm not sure he gets in just from a point standpoint. And Bam Adebayo has been the guy. Tyler Hero's the leading scorer. I don't see Jimmy Butler getting in. Moving on to Paolo Banchero. So we have locks for Donovan Mitchell now. We have Bam Adebayo. That means there's 1 spot left. 1 spot left. So that's between Paolo Banchero, Trae Young, DeMar DeRozan, and Kobe White. I don't think Kobe White or DeMar DeRozan are going to get in. I just don't think so. Looking at Paolo Banchero, who has been playing fantastic for the Orlando Magic. They're above 500. They were tied for the 5th seed at one point. And looking at what he's done for the season and being above 500, having the better team, I'm going to give the nod to Paolo Banchero over Trae Young. And it's simply because I think the Atlanta Hawks have been underperforming and have been just playing like dog shit. And that's with Trae Young and DeJounte Murray there. They have DeAndre Hunter there. They have a team there. They have a squad there in Atlanta and have been playing like crap and are not good. Bogdan Bogdanovic, Clint Capella, AJ Griffin has come up. Jalen Johnson has come up. They have some guys there in Atlanta where they should be better, and they're not. They're not. So looking at it from that standpoint, I don't have my pen here. I got the All-Stars filling out there with Paolo Banchero, Julius Randle, and Donovan Mitchell. Those will be my guys. Sorry, I don't know if I can put Derek White in there. I would love for Derek White to get in there, especially the way he's been playing and how consistent as he has been playing. Definitely getting some All-Star buzz. Porzingis, I don't know if he's going to get in as well just because of games and stuff like that and impact. But looking at it from right now, my All-Stars are Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Damian Lillard, Joel Embiid, Tyrese Maxey, Donovan Mitchell, Jalen Brunson, Julius Randle, Bam Adebayo, Paolo Banchero. Those are my All-Stars for the Eastern Conference. And guys that can argue with, I don't think Kobe White's going to get in. He's just too young and just what he's doing in Chicago. DeMar DeRozan, I don't think he's making enough impact out there in Chicago to warrant that. Looking at, Tyrese Halliburton. So wait, yep, and Tyrese Halliburton is also getting in. So looking at it from that standpoint, I just don't see I just don't see. Yeah, I just don't see those guys getting in, and I don't think Trae Young is playing well enough to get into the All-Star game, despite his numbers, despite his numbers that he's putting out there. I just don't see it. I just don't see it. But that will do it for this episode of the Basketball Soapbox. Thank you guys for joining me. Stay tuned for next week as I continue to go around notes with the NBA and look at the Western Conference, which was a dogfight as well. Be putting that up next week as well. So we'll get to that. But thank you guys for joining me. And until next time.